Hey everyone, are you ready to dig in? Today we're doing a deep dive into Michael Pollan's Cooked.
Oh, yeah, this one is a
We've
classic.
got some fascinating excerpts from a summary of the book and,
No, I think people are going to be surprised.
yeah, how much there is to discover about something
You know,
we do every day.
we really do.
It's like cooking. It's more than just recipes.
Right? It's about how cooking has, shaped humanity.
Okay, so where do we even start? It's a pretty big topic, right?
Well, Pollan begins with what he considers the most primal cooking method, barbecue.
Okay.
You can't get more basic than, open fire and that smell of smoke.
Yeah.
But even something as simple as barbecue has this really complex history.
Okay, so barbecue. It seems so straightforward,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm guessing there's more to it than meets the eye. What kind of insights did Pollan find when he was looking into the world of barbecue?
Well, he spent time with some legendary Southern barbecue
Oh,
masters,
wow.
like the Joneses at the Skylight Inn.
Oh, yeah, I've heard
They're
that.
all about tradition, insisting that if it's not cooked with wood, it's not barbecue.
Interesting.
They're really emphasizing that wood is not just fuel for the fire.
Yeah.
It's a key ingredient.
Wow.
It gives the food its unique flavor.
Oh, I can practically smell it now. That hickory smoke.
Exactly.
I'm sensing, though, even with these traditionalists, it can't be that simple.
You're right. So while the Joneses are committed to using wood, they're also using commercially raised hogs.
Okay.
And so that raises a really interesting question about, what does authenticity actually mean when it comes to food? Is it about the methods or the ingredients or something else?
That's a good question. And I'm guessing it gets even more complex with the other pitmasters' Pollan profiles.
Oh, it totally does. Like take Ed Mitchell, for example.
Okay.
He's all about using pasture-raised hogs, which seems super authentic.
Right.
But then he uses Kingsford briquettes for fuel.
Oh, those little black charcoal blocks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really picture that in a traditional barbecue.
I know, right? It
Yeah.
really challenges our assumptions
Yeah.
about, what's really traditional and what's not. It shows how even the most, deeply rooted traditions are always evolving. Like there's this push and pull between preserving the past and adapting to the present. It really makes you think about your own ideas of authenticity,
Absolutely.
not just with food, but in all areas of life.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how Pollan uses these specific examples to think about much bigger ideas.
Oh, for sure.
It's like he's encouraging us to kind of question everything
Absolutely.
and dig a little deeper and not take things for
You
granted.
got it.
Okay, but let's get back to this barbecue journey. Where does Pollan go next?
Okay, so from the Southern Pitmasters, he travels all the way to Spain
Oh, wow.
to meet Bitter Arguinzinizens,
Okay.
who is a chef that elevates barbecue to an art form. What's so fascinating about him is he treats wood like an ingredient itself.
Really?
He has this system for using different types of wood to create specific flavors.
Interesting.
Almost like a painter's palette, like oak for its strong aroma or vine cuttings for a delicate kind of fruity note.
That's taking barbecue to a whole new level.
It really is.
So we've got these masters of fire and smoke,
Yeah.
and each with their own approach to tradition and innovation.
Right.
But how does Pollan connect this all back to this big idea of, how cooking shaped humanity?
So he links it to ancient rituals
Okay.
where smoke played a crucial role in connecting with the divine. And across cultures and throughout history, you see this pattern emerge where at first human sacrifices were offered through fire, and then animals, and then parts of animals, and then,
And then eventually we end up with the modern backyard barbecue.
precisely.
So it's like what we view today as, just a fun, casual way to cook outdoors
Yeah,
actually has these very deep symbolic roots
it does.
in how humans have used fire and cooking to kind of connect with the world around them.
Yeah.
It's amazing how something we might take for granted has this rich history.
I know, and that's what Pollan is so brilliant at, revealing these hidden depths of something so ordinary like cooking.
Right. Okay. So we've really explored barbecue with all its smoky complexity and cultural significance.
Yeah.
But Pollan doesn't stop there.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
What's next?
He takes us from the open fire to something a bit more contained.
Okay.
Oiling.
Boiling.
Yeah.
Really? Seems so basic compared to, fire and smoke.
It might not have the same visual drama as barbecue, but trust me, it's just as crucial to the story of how we became human.
Okay. I'm intrigued. I guess we'll have to wait for part 2 to find out why boiling is so groundbreaking.
Yes, you will. We'll delve into how that simple pot changed everything.
Okay, I can't wait. Okay, we're back and ready to talk about boiling.
You ready to dive in?
Yeah. But I have to admit, I'm still a little skeptical.
Yeah.
How can boiling be such a turning point in human history? It seems so basic.
It all comes down to the pot. That one simple invention like revolutionized cooking, and with it, civilization.
Okay, so before the pot, everything was cooked over an open fire, right?
Right.
So with a pot, you could contain the food and control the heat a lot more precisely, cook things longer, and even store leftovers.
Yeah, you're not at the mercy of the elements anymore.
You're creating your own little cooking environment.
Exactly. It's like moving from the wilderness into like a fully equipped kitchen.
Yeah.
And that shift had some really profound implications.
Yeah. Okay.
Pollan actually describes it as a move from exocuisine, which is cooking outside exposed to the elements,
Okay.
to endocuisine, where everything's happening inside the pot.
Exocuisine and endocuisine. I've never heard those terms before.
Yeah, well, exo means outside and endo means inside.
Oh, okay.
And those terms really help us understand like the fundamental shift that occurred with the invention of the pot.
Okay, got it.
It allowed humans to process food so much more thoroughly, making it easier to digest and unlocking nutrients from plants that were previously indigestible.
Oh, wow.
So that has a huge impact on nutrition.
And human evolution.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as a pot could have such a huge impact. But I'm wondering, how did it change the way people lived? How did it change how people interacted with each other?
Well, boiling also led to softer foods, which made it much easier for the very young and the very old to eat.
Okay.
So this likely contributed to population growth and changes in like social structures.
Wow.
Imagine elders could share their wisdom longer and families could care for more children. It wasn't just a cooking tool, it was like a social catalyst.
Wow. The pot really did spark this huge ripple effect, changing everything. Yeah. From diet to health to family dynamics and even the size of communities.
Mm-hmm.
But what about like the practical side of things? Did the pot change how people approached everyday cooking?
Absolutely. Think about the economy of cooking with a pot.
Yeah.
You could make ingredients go so much further and create these really delicious and nourishing meals from, even the most basic ingredients.
That's like the original slow cooker.
Totally.
Making the most of what you have and turning simple ingredients into something hearty and flavorful.
It's exact.
It's no wonder it's been a staple of cuisines all around the world for centuries. Okay, I think I'm officially giving the humble pot a standing ovation.
Me too.
But where do we go from here?
From the pot, he takes us into the world of baking, specifically the art and science of making bread.
Bread. Isn't that just like flour, water, yeast, mix it up and bake it?
There's magic in that process. Pollan goes deep into the world of sourdough bread, where wild yeasts and bacteria create these flavors and textures you just can't get with store-bought yeast. It's this fascinating process that involves a starter.
A starter?
Yeah, a mixture of flour and water that ferments over time.
Okay.
And it develops this complex ecosystem of microorganisms.
So it's not just about the ingredients, it's about cultivating these tiny living organisms that transform the dough.
Yeah.
And that's what gives sourdough its unique flavor.
Precisely. And those organisms aren't just in bread either. Think about cheese, yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi. All of these foods are a result of fermentation, the power of those microorganisms.
Wow, it's like we've partnered with these invisible forces to create some of the most delicious foods throughout history. That's amazing. But I'm guessing there's also a downside here too.
Yeah, you're right. So while Pollan is, celebrating traditional baking, he also looks at how the industrialization of food production has led to the decline of those practices.
Right.
So like that convenience of commercially produced bread, made with white flour and instant yeast has come at a cost.
So it's that tension again between convenience and tradition, modern methods versus age-old practices. What are some of the trade-offs that Pollan highlights when it comes to bread?
Mass-produced bread often lacks that nutritional value and complex flavors of sourdough.
Yeah.
And it's not as easy to digest. It can contribute to health issues. So while it might be convenient, we've lost something essential in the process.
It makes you really think about what we prioritize in our food. Is it convenience or cost or flavor or nutrition or even that connection to tradition and history? It seems like Pollan is encouraging us to think about all of these things. But what about his personal experience with bread making? Did he just research it or did he actually get his hands dirty?
He went all in. He apprenticed with master bakers, learning everything firsthand.
Wow.
And when he talks about the process, you can hear the passion in his voice. He developed such a deep appreciation for the skill and dedication and the artistry involved.
He wasn't just an observer. He's a participant.
I love how immersive his approach is. Okay, so we've talked about barbecue, boiling, and baking. Three very different methods, but all connected by this underlying theme of transformation. What does Pollan want us to take away from this exploration of cooking?
He wants us to reclaim the kitchen,
Reclaim the kitchen.
to recognize the profound impact that cooking has on our lives, beyond just, fueling our bodies.
So it's not about becoming a master chef.
No, not at all. It's more about a mindset shift.
Appreciating that act of transforming those raw ingredients into something nourishing and delicious.
So maybe we need a modern pot revolution.
That's a great way to think about it.
Rediscovering that joy of cooking.
Yeah.
Even if it's just starting small.
Exactly. Think about those skills that have been passed down through generations. When we cook, we're tapping into that lineage and adding our own stories to the mix.
So it's more than just the food on the plate. It's about continuing this legacy.
Exactly. And in a world of, instant gratification,
Right.
cooking is a powerful antidote. Good things take time, the process has value, and the rewards are worth the effort. Just like those slow-cooked meals.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. But I'm also thinking about our listeners, many of whom are busy juggling a million things. How do we find the time to reclaim the kitchen with all the chaos of everyday life?
That's the challenge. And there's not really a one-size-fits-all solution, but maybe we can offer some starting points. What sparks your curiosity in the kitchen?
That's a good question. I think about dishes that evoke strong memories or flavors that excite me, techniques I've always wanted to try. That feels like a good place to start.
Right. Maybe it's recreating a grandparent's recipe or trying a new grain or vegetable, or even mastering that sourdough bread we were talking about.
It's about figuring out what works for you
Yeah.
and not getting overwhelmed by all the options out there.
It's a journey, not a destination. So take that first step. Find a recipe, gather your ingredients, and get cooking.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes and experiment, and most importantly, have fun.
I agree. Cooking is about nourishing our bodies and our souls.
Okay, well, that sounds like a great place to pause for now. We've gone from barbecue to the boiling pot to baking and the magic of fermentation.
We sure have?
But the journey doesn't end here.
No, it doesn't.
We'll be back for part 3 to explore what it really means to reclaim the kitchen and how to bring all of these insights into our own lives. Welcome back to our deep dive into cooked. We've gone from fire to pot to oven, and now we're left with this idea of reclaiming the kitchen.
It's really about recognizing that impact
Yeah.
that cooking has on our lives.
Beyond just
Beyond just eating.
yeah, fueling our bodies.
Exactly.
I'm still picturing those crazy cooking shows where everything's perfect and
Oh, no. It's not about that.
it's so frantic.
It's really not about being a master chef or anything.
Okay, good.
It's more about a mindset shift.
Yeah.
Appreciating that act of just transforming ingredients
Yeah.
and being present.
Being in the moment.
And even, enjoying those little messes we make along the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, earlier we talked about how the pot revolutionized those early civilizations.
Right.
Maybe we need like a modern-day pot revolution,
I love that.
where we rediscover that joy of cooking at home,
Absolutely.
even if it's just starting small, the
Exactly.
one simple dish.
Yeah. Think about those skills that have been passed down,
Right.
through generations.
Right.
Like when we cook, we're connecting to that lineage.
We're adding our own stories
Yeah.
to the mix.
Exactly.
So it's so much more than just the food that ends up on our plates.
It is.
It's like continuing a legacy.
It really is. And, in a world of instant gratification.
Oh, yeah. Everything's so fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cooking is like a powerful antidote.
It really is.
Good things take time. The process itself has value,
Yeah.
and those rewards are worth it.
It's like those slow-cooked meals that we talked about.
Precisely.
That takes time and patience.
It does.
But the end result is so worth it.
It is.
But I am thinking about our listeners. So many people are so busy,
Oh, yeah.
juggling so many things these days.
It's true.
How do we even find the time to reclaim our kitchens?
Yeah, it's a challenge.
With all the chaos of everyday life.
There's not one answer that's going to work for everyone.
Right.
But maybe we can offer some starting points.
Okay.
What is it that sparks your curiosity in the kitchen?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's those dishes that evoke strong memories.
Yes.
Or certain flavors that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Or techniques I've always wanted to try.
I love that.
Those feel like good places to start.
They are great starting points.
For me, anyway.
Maybe it's recreating a grandparent's recipe or experimenting with a new grain or vegetable or, mastering that sourdough bread we were talking about.
It's about finding what really speaks to you
It is.
and not getting overwhelmed by all the options.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, I love that.
So take that first step. Find a recipe, gather your ingredients, and get cooking.
And don't be afraid to experiment and make mistakes and have fun.
Exactly. Cooking is about nourishing our bodies and our souls.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into cooked.
We have.
From those primal origins of barbecue to the simple boiling pot to the art of baking and the magic of fermentation.
It's been quite a journey.
But I think the biggest takeaway for me is that the kitchen is so much more
It is.
than just a place to prepare food.
It's a space for connection.
Yes, to ourselves, to our heritage.
And that simple joy of creating something with our own hands.
That's a beautiful note to end on.
It is.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into cooked. Hopefully it sparked some culinary curiosity
I hope so.
and inspired you to reclaim your own kitchens.
Me too.
Until next time, happy cooking.